This episode is brought to you by Audi. The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power, serious acceleration, and advanced Audi tech. It's not just a new EV. It's a new way to experience driving. The all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron is here. The next chapter of Audi starts now.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
You're listening to the Animation Addicts Podcast, episode 329, looking at the most anticipated animated movies of 2025.
Welcome to the Animation Addicts Podcast with the Rotoscopers, the number one place to get your animation fix with animation addicts just like you. Each episode, we dive into the wonderful world of animation featuring Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar, and everything in between. From hilarious discussions and movie reviews to interviews with industry insiders, this show's mission is to brighten your day through our love of animation. So hop on your nerdy couch, grab some snacks, and get ready to hang out with your animation besties because it's time to dive into today's episode. Hey there, animation addicts. My name is Chelsea Robson.
And I'm Morgan Stradling.
Morgan, it is a new year, and we have new movies to talk about.
But let's talk about, before we talk about the future, let's talk about the past. What was your favorite animated film of 2024?
For me, I think Wild Robot was the one that really hit home for me. I was like, that one's really good. I also really enjoyed If, which we haven't done an episode on, but I did watch it.
And it's not entirely animated.
And it's correct. But there is animation, so it's one of those like, But
everything has animation nowadays.
I know.
So thanks for stealing my answer. I also would choose The Wild Robot. The Wild Robot was just epitomized greatness in animation in 2024 when it seems everything else was just going back to the sequel wagon or the established property wagon. You know, we had Garfield, we had Despicable Me 4, Kung Fu Panda 4, Inside Out 2, Moana 2. It's just kind of like, after a while, you're like, can I get something new? And then when you do get new things, is it good or is it just going to let you down? And I think The Wild Robot, it was based on a previous property, which has been done from the beginning of time. Many of the famous Disney original films that we know of, 101 Dalmatians, right? Those are actually just adaptations from books. And so that's fine. It starts with great source material and they adapt it in a beautiful way. And I think The Wild Robot just really encapsulated that. It was just beautiful. I love the art style. I love just that it was quiet for a long period of it. It allowed you to breathe. And just so good. I really hope it wins the Oscar.
I agree. Yes. It was the standout for sure of the year as far as like something that you could really think hard on and also just like accept at the same time.
Yeah, I know that Flow is getting a lot of attention, and I really still want to see that. So of the movies that I saw, Wild Robot, obviously there are still a few films that I didn't see, but if I had one that I want to go back and watch, it's going to be Flow.
Add it to the list.
Imagine what's possible when learning doesn't get in the way of life. At Capella University, our game-changing FlexPath learning format lets you set your own deadlines so you can learn at a time and pace that works for you. It's an education you can tailor to your schedule. That means you don't have to put your life on hold to pursue your professional goals. Instead, enjoy learning your way and earn your degree without missing a beat. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
Uh-oh. The last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does without me lifting a finger. So I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
All right, we are jumping into a look at the animated films of 2025. And I'm excited to talk about these. It gives us a little taste of what to expect. And some of these will appear on the list, some will not. So we're going to go through our list and we're going to talk about the traditional animated ones first, and then we are going to do honorable mentions, and those are some of the live action remakes. All right, so we are going to jump into this. The first is The Colors Within. Now, this is an anime film from Naoko Yamada, and it's a critically acclaimed new feature based on a very popular manga. It's about a young girl who has the ability to see the colors of other people's emotion, and she forms a band with other sensitive souls. And, you know, typically we don't veer into the world of anime. It's only, you know, we focus on Western animation. That's our area. But occasionally people will say, you really got to see this one. It's like, okay, fine. We will dip our toes into Japan. And this is the first one on the list that seems to have a lot of buzz.
If you go to the episode post of this, for all of the movies that have trailers available, I have them posted on there. And watching the trailer for this, it looks, you know, it starts off very, very nice and something kind of that you would expect out of a Japanese animation film. And then all of a sudden it like stops, like, what? We're starting a band? What? And I did think it was cute. And you could tell that it was more of a coming of age for all three of these main characters. But the part that really stuck out to me is it looks like the guy is playing a theremin. And I'm not about that life.
Yeah.
If you know what a theremin is, it's just like, it's like, woo, it makes all these crazy noises. And you make the noises by moving your hand within a specific area. But it's like, what if a fly jumps in there? You're ruining the whole thing. So I don't know. The fact that you're throwing in a theremin, I'm just like, all right, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, you know, this one isn't really piquing my interest too much. It seems kind of just like a generic anime to me. And I know people are probably going to be in the comments like, what are you talking about? But for me, when I watched it, I was just like, okay, cool. They form a band. What else? You know, so
right.
That's not one that I'm necessarily going to go out of my way to see personally. Now, the next one is Dogman. Dogman. So Colors Within comes out January 24th. Dogman comes out January 31st. It's by Universal. It's by DreamWorks Universal. Now, Dogman is a book series by Dave Pilkey, and you might know him from, he also is the writer, illustrator of Captain Underpants. So he's known for these graphic novels. They really appeal to kids. And Dogman, you know, DreamWorks did his first book, or it's a series, obviously, Captain Underpants, and this one is Dogman. Dogman is about this half person, half dog. My kids have told me how this happens, but apparently the man died and the dog took over his body. And I'm just so confused. I'm like, why are you reading this book? But they love it. So I consider the Dogman books to be literary junk food. So it's stuff that they enjoy reading because it's funny and it's very visual, but I do not let them read it very often. They have to finish, you know, reading other books and chapter books and things that are going to nourish the body and soul before you go to the Dogman. I know.
You're so lame.
I'm the lame Bob, but it is. So my kids are going to be thrilled to see Dogman. They're so excited for it. Me, I'm kind of going to go into it like I did Captain Underpants. It doesn't seem like it's designed for me, and it's going to have a lot of themes
Right.
and that will keep my interest long term. It's not going to be one I probably want to go back to, but for the age group that it's targeted towards, especially big fans of the book. I mean, there's so many of the books. It seems like a new one just came out. My son really wanted me to check it out from the library and get on the list, and we did, and he was so thrilled. But yeah. So that's coming out January 31st.
All right. And then we have The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie coming out February 28th. The story of this is Daffy Duck and Porky Pig join forces to save the world from aliens, of course. And this is a little apropos for what's happening, I guess, in the world right now. As we're recording this, it's still December, and it's like they have all these like drones being sighted everywhere, and everyone's like claiming that they're UFOs and stuff. So, we're like, hey, all right, give it a month or two, and I'm sure we'll figure out. Somebody will tell us exactly what's going on. Probably not, but hey, here we are. It's going to be directed by Peter Braugart, and he's of the Looney Tunes cartoons, and this is Warner Brothers. So I'm Catch-Up Entertainment. That's the other production group.
Catch-Up Entertainment, nice. Yeah, it's like if you would have a production company, what would you name it? Would you go the really funny way? Would you go the most serious way, the obscure way, this is the initials of the founders way? There's lots of different ways to do that.
It works for this type. I get
Absolutely.
it.
It's interesting. So this movie has already had previews, and for some press, I know that our friend Rachel Wagner has already seen it. And I know they did a limited release in December, just this week in probably like LA, New York. And so it's wide releases happening in February. And from what I've heard, this is really good, really funny. It's, a return to form for Warner Brothers. It's going back to their classic characters. And so because of all the buzz I'm hearing, I'm really excited for this one. I'm excited to introduce my kids to, this will probably be their first introduction to Looney Tunes.
That's weird.
And I hope that everyone goes and sees this movie in theaters, because Warner Brothers, had a film called Coyote versus Acme, which was a traditionally animated film about, Coyote and Roadrunner. Hilarious, funny, and they gave it the Batgirl treatment, which means it was fully completed, fully done, and they just shelved it and did it as a tax write-off, which is so unfortunate. People are so upset. Everyone wants to see this. They're clamoring for that movie to come out. So if you want, at some point in your life, maybe to see Coyote versus Acme, you have to support and show up and see The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. Because we're not going to get the other one if this one bombs.
And it's Looney Tunes. I mean, we had Space Jam, yes, but I feel like this is much more return to form.
Mm-hmm. Night of Zoopocalypse comes out March 7th. Tell us about this one.
A family comedy follows a group of animals that become zombies after their zoo is hit by a meteorite. There's so many space movies this year. Directed by Ricardo Curtis and Rodrigo Perez Castro, with the voices of David Harbour, Paul Sun Hyung Lee, and Scott Thompson. Mac Gruff, Elevation, Apollo Films, Viva Pictures. So I was looking at this one, and I don't know, the animation reminds me of, or at least one of the characters, the main character with the big nose, reminds me of the Monster in Paris.
Monster in Paris, yeah.
And it looks like it's very colorful. It has a fun vibe to it. I feel like it could be good.
Yeah, so this studio, Viva Pictures, I've looked up other films that they had done. I think they're a European studio. They have other films called Hit Pig, Scary Girl, 200% Wolf, Epic Tales, Inspector Sun, Rally Road Racers, Amazing Maurice. Now, that's probably the one that's most famous of theirs that I'm recognizing. Around the World in 80 Days, 100% Wolf, which clearly is the original to 200% Wolf. They do have Smurfs and the Magic Flute, Monster Family 2, a lot based on just the cover of all of these. They look very kind of like low budget, generic CGI films, but I appreciate them for trying to get in the game and continually releasing these films. It's just interesting that I haven't necessarily heard of them. They haven't really gotten these wide releases in the US, it seems. So this one, I'm interested to see, how well this does. This is going to basically be around the time of spring break for some people, as we're going into March and April. Will Looney Tunes be big enough a hit to take over? Will this one even make a splash? How wide of a release will it have? I mean, it's a movie that just kind of seems meh to me, but I'll give it a chance.
It looks it looks fun. It looks like they really tried to make it a comedy, especially from the trailer. You have these animals that are looking and they see this alien that has come, and now they step on like a squeaker toy, and then it has this really long melodramatic like squeak that adds. It's humorous. I felt like they did a good job with the actual trailer, so it seems like something that I would feel good going to see, and I think it'd be fun. This is out of France, so I bet it was the same group that did the animation for the other.
Well, I mean, it didn't list a monster in Paris.
Well,
that's what you're referring to?
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. But it's the animators probably also worked on for a different company that did the other one, so it's like, I don't think they're connected like as far as that. But if you're in France and you are an animator, you're probably working with all of the companies at some point.
For sure. Yeah. For Monster in Paris, the different production companies were Europa Corp, Bibo Films, France 3 Cinema, Walking the Dog, UFilm, UFund, Canal Plus, French Televisions, Ciné Cinema, La Tech Shelter du Gouvernement Fédéral de Belgique, and New Media. So nice. Quite a few. Yeah. So you would be probably correct to say that there was a few people involved. But as with people jumping studios all over the place, I mean, I'd say that people who worked on DreamWorks also worked on a Pixar film. It's like, yeah, true.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, Elio. This is Pixar's next film. This is after Inside Out 2. This is their first original film in a while. And it comes out June 13th. This is crazy. It's their 29th feature film. It's about an 11-year-old boy who becomes abducted by aliens and then ends up being the intergalactic ambassador of Earth, or Earth. And he has to basically say that, yeah, I'm the leader of Earth and figure out how to work with these aliens. Now, this movie, when the trailer that I watched in preparation for this, it said coming 2024 or spring 2024. And I'm like, oof, that aged poorly. As these things always do, and they get pushed. So this initially was supposed to be a spring 2024 release and ended up getting pushed to summer 2025. They had to really rework a lot of this film and recast. Zoe Saldana's in it, and I think she wasn't initially in it. It's directed by Domi Shi, who did Turning Red. My thoughts on Turning Red. I'm not really a fan. So seeing, this next work, I don't know. This one, the original trailer and then the revamped trailer is just not really doing it for me. I hate to say every time, like, it doesn't feel Pixar, but your studio has a vibe. It has, something that makes you right? Just like a John Williams score has elements that instantly you can connect with John Williams and understand, even though the breadth of his work is so different and unique. He still has that theme and feeling throughout. And Pixar, same, has a feeling. And Elio, to me, doesn't quite hit that feeling. I'm feeling very much like Home from DreamWorks, which came out probably, 10, 11 years ago. And that movie ended up just being like, you watched it, oh, it was good. And then you never thought or talked about it again, sort of thing. So that's still my thoughts on Elio.
So I have a friend of a friend of a friend.
Those are good friends to have.
who actually got to see the test screening for Elio. And we asked, what was it about? And he said it was about a boy who liked aliens so much that he wanted to be abducted. So he got abducted. And so all the Council of Aliens from all over the galaxies was looking for someone who represented Earth. And Elio said that he was the ruler of Earth. And everything went down, I think. I was like, oh, okay. And that he's said, I'm just hoping that they fix up the soundtrack. So, yeah, I heard that it was like, I mean, the test screening is a test screening. So you're going to go in with not everything totally done. It wasn't something that one of the friend closer to me, not not 6 steps away, but maybe 5 steps away, she said that she saw it also, but couldn't even remember what it was about. So there you go.
Okay. Interesting. Well, there you go. That's Pixar's new film coming out this summer. It's going to be followed a month later by the Smurfs movie. And I'm thinking, didn't we have one of these recently? But I think that's just the nature of modern cinema, is you have these properties that were maybe okay, somewhat popular in the 80s, the 90s, whenever. And then, well, we can't let the brand die. And they continually to make movies and remakes and this and that. And I feel like the Smurfs movie is just another attempt at this, so it's Peyo's timeless blue villagers are back in this musical adventure directed by Chris Miller, Shrek the Third and Puss in Boots. So, I mean, okay, that's a good guy. I like him. Co-directed by Matt Landon, written by Pam Brady of South Park. So it has, Rihanna doing the voice of Smurfette, and she's going to perform a musical number. I mean, Nick Offerman. Are they trying to make this kind of like what Trolls was? And they said, oh man, we missed our mark with these little people that can sing.
I mean, maybe. I just feel like Smurfs is definitely a Gen X thing. And I feel like the millennials, we got movies as well, but they didn't really hit home with me.
Right.
And so I'm thinking, are you just trying again with this next generation? Which it's like Gen Z, and even Gen Alpha, I don't feel like there's enough Gen X or or millennials that are pushing it, that would be pushing it enough for them to really want to go see it. So I don't know. I feel like the Smurfs is a property that doesn't have the same amount of kick or like member berries as someone would hope for them to actually want to go back to another property,
Mm-hmm.
But maybe they'll do it. Hey, Chris Miller, we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Okay, and then this one I'm interested in this one, but I'm a little concerned about the release date. The Bad Guys 2 coming out August 1st. Now, the first Bad Guys by DreamWorks and obviously distributed by Universal was based on the Aaron Blabely graphic novels. So we have another graphic novel adaptation. Well, but this obviously is the sequel. Now, there's multiple Bad Guys book. I think I just checked out Bad Guys 18 from the library for my son, right? There's plenty of Bad Guys books and lots of material, but this one is about, the bad guys have turned into the good guys, and then they meet the bad girls, an all-female squad of evildoers. And I have not read the Bad Guy novel, so I'm not sure if the bad girls are a thing, but it really kind of feels forced. It's like, okay, we gotta do this now, and I'm not necessarily loving it because that's the sequel problem. You're introducing a ton of new characters, but then you don't have enough time to focus on the old characters. So I'm a little concerned about that. But, and then how they're going to change. The fun thing about the Bad Guys is they were bad guys. Just because I'm a bad guy doesn't mean we are a bad guy. And at the end, they're kind of reformed and they're good, right? But how are you going to make that work in a second movie? And that's where the bad girls come in, where they basically coerce them to get out of retirement to do one last job. So they're going to be bad guying it up again. So I'm intrigued. The release date is a little worrisome to me because by this point, some people are going back to school. August is never, ever a sign that you're confident in your film. And it's not like there were really tons of films otherwise that's being released. I mean, there's nothing in April, nothing in May. In May, now that's just animation. I don't know what other big tentpole films are being released that maybe they would consider competition, but is it just not simply going to be ready before then? It seems odd and a scary choice.
I really liked Bad Guys 1. I think it's a little superfluous to do bad girls kind of thing. Considering the tarantula is voiced by a female, so was she
Aquafina?
Right. So I don't know. Was that not supposed to be a girl? I don't know.
Guys in the collective plural form.
But
yes.
That's why it's like, is that really needed? Because I don't know. So
I guess I'll have to read the books and I will report back before August.
Sounds good.
Or I could just ask my son later today. I should have asked him right before. Like, are there bad girls in the bad guys books? I would quickly get a yes, no, and then a long synopsis about everything. Like his memory and retention and recall is amazing.
Good for him.
Yeah. Maybe I'll record that later and we could throw it in the podcast as a
perfect
and throw a blooper. Okay, next up is David. This is November 21st, so this will be a Thanksgiving release, and this is by Angel Studios and Sunrise Animation Studios. So Angel Studios is interesting because they were one of the initial studios involved in The Chosen, which is a TV series based on the life of Jesus Christ. And there were some contract issues, and so they're no longer distributing future releases of The Chosen, but in the meantime, they were releasing a lot of other different films, and they have this interesting model where they kind of have an angel group of investors, and those become basically your sounding board should this project go through or not. And then it's kind of like a focus group of people who've paid in who say, yes, is this ready to be put into production? Is the script ready to go? What changes need to be made with this film? And so they really believe that that's been a reason why the films that they've come out with have all been very successful for the most part, is because they really go through all these layers. Now they've done So David, when this was announced, one thing that they've also done is they really heavily rely on crowdfunding, Angel Studios. So they did that for The Chosen season 1. It ended up being one of the biggest crowdfunding films or TV series or events ever. And so they continued to do that for the other seasons of The Chosen. And then I remember seeing social media ads for David. They had a little teaser. Hey, what about an animated movie in the style of Disney Pixar about King David of Israel, his early days from shepherd to his reign. It's going to be directed by Phil Cunningham. And so they obviously got the funding and they produced it. There have been a few little shorts, which you can go, if you download the Angel Studios app, you can watch, I think for free, you can watch the shorts that they've put out of leading up to this. There's probably maybe 5 or 6 of them. But this will be the feature-length film. And it's biblical, so we're thinking Prince of Egypt vibes. Tons of people, obviously.
It's a musical too,
and it's a musical. Now, do we know who's doing the music? I don't think it's been, at least in this little blurb, we don't know yet. But I'm excited. I actually think it's good, and I think it has wide appeal. I know maybe some of the more traditional studios would veer away from a biblical story, but there are lots of different religions that use the Bible, and so it has, I think, pretty wide appeal. And then especially if you do it the right way, I think it could be really successful.
Yeah, and it looks good. Like from what I've seen of it, it has very clean. The animation is good. The characterization looks good. And adding the musical side into it, it's like, okay, we'll see how this goes. I like it.
Yeah, I'm trying to look
because
up Sunrise.
David was the author of all of the Psalms. So
interesting.
He was a musician.
So Sunrise Animation Studios is the studio behind Jungle Beat. Now, this is a movie I've never seen, but they sent me their Blu-ray back in the day, and there's a Jungle Beat the movie and Jungle Beat 2. So it's kind of one of these like direct to video sort of things. Maybe it played somewhere, but I remember getting this in a PR, and then so at a certain point you get so much PR that you really have to pick and choose what you're gonna focus on, right?
Right.
And so this is a studio that's based in Cape Town, South Africa. So it's not an American studio. Maybe as a result, costs are lower. But the quality seems to be up there. It seems these other films they put out has really prepared them for prime time, that they're ready to make David. Now, this will be interesting because basically the same weekend. Let's see, when is Thanksgiving? So when is Thanksgiving 2025? So Thanksgiving the release of Thanksgiving is Thursday, November 27th. So this is going to come out the week before Thanksgiving. So kind of like what Wicked did this year, and Moana 2 following the week after. So David's coming out, and then Zootopia 2 is coming out November 26th, which is that Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So they're doing the exact same strategy with Moana. So obviously we're moving into talking about Zootopia 2. So this is the sequel to the 2016 movie, and it's going to be directed by the new head of Walt Disney Animation Studios, Jared Bush, and Yvette Marino, who did, she's producing, and she was involved with Encanto. So Zootopia 2, what do you think?
I mean, there are parts of the original Zootopia that I liked, but it's one that I'm like, I really can't even remember most of the story now. I remember some of the characters, but I would have to actually go in to even remember like story beats. And I don't know. I feel like this is like going back to a well that doesn't really have much to give.
Yeah, I feel that way too, but for some reason, Zootopia is incredibly popular. And by the people who maybe were teenagers or children when it came out, I feel like it still has this resonance with them and quite a draw. There is a Zootopia land in Shanghai Disneyland.
Oh.
And people really want Zootopia land coming, to the American parks. I just want less IP based stuff, like, but they're not a park podcast, so we'll talk about that another day. Maybe on a future patron call, we can do that. But Zootopia is very, very popular. And so I think this is kind of a safe bet for them. There's always, another mystery that can be discovered, and Judy and Nick can come together and figure it out. So they find themselves on a twisting trail on a mysterious reptile who arrives in Zootopia and turns the mammal metropolis upside down. Okay, so shenanigans ensue. I will see it. Am I excited for it? Is this my number one movie of 2025 that I'm anticipating? No. But I'm going to see what Jared Bush does and give it a chance.
Obviously, it's the Disney one. So
now, one that I'm really not interested in giving a chance is the SpongeBob movie, The Search for SquarePants. This comes out December 19th. This is a follow-up from the theatrical Sponge on a Run movie that came out in 2020. And the reason it's about, obviously, I love the quote they use here in this article. Our favorite absorbent hero, obviously SpongeBob, voiced by the brilliant Tom Kenny, goes into the deepest depths of the ocean to face against the Flying Dutchman of none other than Mark Hamill.
Ooh.
So I have never been a SpongeBob person. I don't think I've ever even seen an episode of SpongeBob. Now, Mason, our former co-host on the podcast, loves SpongeBob. We were Simpsons people. He was a SpongeBob guy. Yeah. And we never really mixed.
There really are just two people, aren't there?
He never went and watched The Simpsons, and I never went and watched SpongeBob. I had no interest. It just wasn't my vibe. To talk like a Kardashian, it's not my vibe. So, and I don't want to introduce my kids to SpongeBob because, at least in my mind, it's very potty humor-ish. But I have no idea. I think this is just my preconceived notion about it. Yeah. It's just kind of dumb cartoon. I'm sorry, people involved in SpongeBob. I know it's amazing. I know you're gonna crucify me for this. Please stop. But
no, you and I are the same in this genre, or not genre, but in this world, because neither of us had cable growing up, and so that was one of the things that it really does change.
Big barrier to entry.
It really does change your whole memory of something. The fact that you weren't capable of watching it because of whatever. But yeah, it was. I've seen a couple, I think, did we see SpongeBob, the movie?
No,
the original?
I just looked this up. It came out, this is so sad, August 14th, 2020. Budget of $60 million. Box office, 4.8 million. Oof.
No.
I feel like this was initially supposed to come out earlier. Yeah, it was, okay, here's what happened. Was the film was released August 14th, 2020. And then it was as a premium video on demand on Paramount Plus, March 4th, 2021.
Oh,
so
gosh.
For some reason, I thought it was one of those February 2021s where that the pandemic hadn't really started yet or had rolled in full force in the US. So a few of those movies from February did pretty okay. But yeah, so shocking that despite this very poor performance out of its control, it is getting a sequel. But I think that just goes to show with the success and the popularity of the SpongeBob franchise.
I mean, they must be getting a lot of repeat viewing on the streamings.
It's all, Netflix acquired the international distribution rights to the film where Paramount had it for, so it seems it was able to get that.
Yeah, so they must be they have that data as far as who has seen the first one, how many people, how many streams has that gone? So would a sequel to it be viable? I mean, I assume that their analytics say yes. So that's how we get here. Well, that's the animation for the most part, the big ones at least.
Yes. So now let's move to some honorable mentions. These are ones that aren't necessarily animation, but they're animation adjacent. And I thought they were worth talking about because why not? So first off, we have, the notorious Snow White coming March 21st. This features Rachel Zegler, Gal Gadot, directed by Mark Webb, with a script by Greta Gerwig. Now, Greta Gerwig is all over the place. She did the Barbie. She's going to be doing a new The Chronicles of Narnia, but not... She's going to be doing the new Chronicles of Narnia, but really like taking away from its Christian roots, from what I've heard, which seems very, very odd choice. I don't think C.S. Lewis would approve of that. But it's just interesting. She has her fingers in all these different pies. Apple pies, if you will. And this one has, the pie has been cut up and mashed and rebaked and tried to work so many times. And I don't think this is going to do well. I think there's so much bad taste in people's mouth and foul and ill blood happening with Snow White that they keep putting their foot in their mouth. They keep trying to fix it and they make it worse. First we're talking about not casting little people as the dwarfs because a very famous dwarf actor wanted to pull the ladder behind him and only, said that, it's demeaning to cast little people in fantasy dwarf roles. Okay, well then we'll do regular people and there's going to be men and women of all shapes and sizes. And then those get leaked, those pictures, and people freak out. And so, okay, just kidding. No, we're going back to dwarfs, but they're going to be CGI, ugly, uncanny valley dwarfs. And then, not to mention...
That always works out well.
Yes, it's terrible to look at. And then we have all the issues with, Rachel Zegler talking about this isn't the olden days anymore. Princess doesn't need to be saved by a prince, and just really crapping on Walt Disney's masterpiece and not appreciating and realizing who she's speaking to here. Oh, yeah. This one.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like totally of any film to get the
story
Batgirl,
too.
What?
They've also changed the story too.
Well, exactly. It's yes. Of any film to get the Batgirl treatment, this one needs to be it. I feel like they could have saved themselves so much headache and hassle and plain money. I think they're going to lose 3 times as much money as from what they've done to this and trying to release it versus what if they just would have shelved it and cut it and said, nope, sorry. They released a trailer, but they released it in theaters only, which is something you did back in the olden days. It would appear in theaters and then it would show up online. And now they don't really care. It's like it shows on online first and then it shows up in front of the theaters. But then when they release it in theaters, their comments turned off. They don't seem confident in their product.
No. Well,
and Snow White, I love Snow White.
Yeah. Well, and also the trailer itself, the second trailer, is, I guess, by ratio, is the most disliked movie trailer on YouTube, and that's by percentage wise. Yeah, so it's just there's a lot of people who are really not down with this movie, and you could say it's just because they're taking one side or they're just going at it, but it's you're looking at the whole story. They really have changed her into this a war hero kind of situation, and it's what? That's what is being said. So it's okay. I don't think that it's going to be very different, though.
No, I think you're right. So we shall see. I would be shocked to see if this does well. I think this isn't just an online thing. I think it has kind of spread its tentacles a little bit into the real world. The non-hyper online crowd is kind of getting vibes of this. I think based on how Mufasa does, which at the time of recording this, Mufasa's not out. I think that will give us an indication of how the normies are feeling about Disney remakes. And I consider Mufasa to be a remake in the fact that it's a prequel of a live action remake. 2019, Mufasa did just incredibly well. It was the highest animated film of all time, even though they claimed it was a live action. And because there was just so much goodwill riding on the Disney brand, and I think that has really eroded. And so, however, if Mufasa bombs, I think that's very indicative of Snow White bombing. If Mufasa does marginally well, I think Snow White will probably do marginally well, if not a little less. If and we see Moana too. If Mufasa blows it out of the water, I think maybe Snow White could. But I think because of how much money they've put into this, I don't think they're able to make their money back unless it does over $1 billion, which I do not see happening. It seems like Moana 2 at this point isn't going to break a billion. It seems a lot of people went in, saw it that initial 5-day weekend, word got out what it actually is. And if you look at the trajectory of the graph, it really plateaued and has stayed that way. So next up, the Minecraft movie coming out April 4th. This has Jack Black, Jason Momoa, Emma Myers, Jennifer Coolidge, whole bunch of people. Jared Hess is the director. It's by Warner Brothers. This is based on the very, very famous video game. I never played Minecraft. My kids don't play Minecraft. We don't have any video games in our house, so I won't be taking my kids to this. I'm super lame. I know, whatever. But from what I've heard from people are really disappointed in this because there's so many Minecraft fan movies out there that they just use the Real Engine or they use the Minecraft engine and kind of just make movies using the Minecraft people and characters. But this is live action characters in a Minecraft world, and so far people aren't loving it. They're disappointed, especially with Steve, which I guess is a guy in Minecraft, and I am Steve, and it's Jack Black, and people are like, "What?" So, yeah.
I've never played. I don't know how to play, and so.
Okay, so now we have Lilo and Stitch, another live action remake by Disney, May 23rd. This is going to have Chris Sanders returning as the voice of Stitch, but it's directed by Dean Fleischer Camp. And has Tia Carrere, Billy Magnuson, Zach Galifianakis, Courtney Vance, Jason Scott Lee, and Amy Hill. So it's a live action with obviously a CGI Stitch. Probably some of the other alien characters will be CGI. And it's like, why? But because you're Disney, why not? It's creatively bankrupt. We're going back to every well that we possibly can. Stitch is incredibly popular. He's always been a staple. He's grown beyond himself as far as his influence. He has the Nightmare Before Christmas effect, where the initial movie isn't that popular, but but the characters, are.
Well, and the marketing for Lilo and Stitch in the first time was so good, and they're doing it again.
Yeah,
so
which I like. I mean, if it worked the first time, do it again, and it's funny to see it. So, in case you're wondering, when it was first released, they had Stitch invading into all these other animated characters. He was flying on the magic carpet with Aladdin and Jasmine, and they're having him do that again with other Disney properties for the teaser trailers and different snippets that are coming out. So, okay, the last movie that we're going to talk about is How to Train Your Dragon. Dragon comes out June 13th. This is a live action remake directed by Dean DeBlois. Oh gosh, I should know this. And it's by Universal. There have been the key scene where Hiccup meets Toothless is almost scene for scene, shot by shot, the same, which I think is pretty cool. And I think they said the reason they wanted to do that is they really wanted to recreate the magic of that moment. And I'm not going to lie, this movie looks cool, but at the same time, it's like, why do we need this? Oh, yeah, you have a giant theme park coming out in 2025 that has a How to Train Your Dragon land, and you got to make it relevant and memorable for the kids and the audience. And okay, that's why we're doing this.
I mean, I don't even know if they really need to dig that deep to make it more relevant, because even my nieces and nephews who are under 15, I have one who's 12, and she has always been a huge How to Train Your Dragon fan, watched all of because they had How to Train Your Dragon cartoon series on Netflix.
Yeah.
And so it's like they've been involved in these, and it wasn't that long ago that number 3 came out. And so it's like, I don't feel like they have to dig that deep to get the member berries, but it's like, I mean, all right, we'll see.
It looks kind of cool. Not going to lie. Of all of these remakes, that one looks the best. But yeah.
Yeah, so that is 2025, people. Whoop, whoop. What are we thinking?
What is your number one, Chelsea? If you were to pick one movie to look forward to, what's it going to be? Let me go first, because you took mine.
Yeah, go for it.
I would say David. I'm really excited for Angel Studios. They've put out a lot of really great films and done really, really well. Some not so much, but I appreciate their effort and I like their model. I think it's cool that they're going to do, a biblical film by a biblical character. This isn't one you typically see. It's not Moses, it's not Jesus, it's David. And I like that. I think it'll be an interesting story that they can tell from that. Musical, I need to look to see who's doing the music, but I hope it's going to be good. I'd love for it to be as epic as Prince of Egypt.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
Because you took that one, and I feel the need to mention something else, I'm going to go with The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, February 28th. And we don't have to wait that long before that happens. So you get more at the end of the year, I'll get the beginning of the year, and it'll be a fantastic year in between, I'm sure.
All right, let us know what films you are most looking forward to in 2025. And definitely let us know which ones are a must for us to review on the podcast. Some of these, there's just sometimes too many. We do our best, but if there's, give us your top 3. Well, I think that's how it would be obvious. Give us your top 5 that we must review on the podcast in 2025. Thank you so much for a great year. Happy 2025. Happy New Year, Chelsea.
Happy New Year, Morgan. And if you want to join us on our challenge for ourselves of lower your screen time, if you want to join with that fun little thing, there is a link in the information of this episode, and you can just put your name on and you can get an email saying, we support you.
All right, that's all that we have for today. Until next time, we are the Rotoscopers. I could throw this in the bloopers, but a disappointing movie that is not included on this list is the third Spider-Verse film. It was officially announced kind of last week that they are taking their time. They're massaging it a little bit. They want to get it just right. So incredibly unlikely that it's going to be seen in 2025. No release date for that one yet, but come on.
You left us on quite the cliffhanger.
I think the modern day version of that is if you have such a cliffhanger, like you have to have the next one like in the hopper ready to go. Like Wicked Part 1, Wicked Part 2 was filmed at the same time. Great, we're gonna release it a year later. Phew, you're good. I cannot do this. This will be over 2 years between. Yeah, it's not like a Star Wars film back in the day. We had to wait 3 years, and that was also Lord of the Rings did that, didn't they? Well, they recorded all of them at the same time. No, they release theirs every year. Yeah, see? But alas, it's not the way.
Alas.
You've been listening to the Animation Addicts podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and be sure to leave us a 5-star review. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to help spread the word, be sure to share the podcast with your friends on social media. Just don't forget to tag us at Rotoscopers on Instagram and use the hashtag AnimationAddicts. For all the links and full show notes for this episode, go to rotoscopers.com/podcast. Now, if you still can't get enough for your animation fix, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and visit rotoscopers.com for more animation news, reviews, and interviews. Thanks for listening.